In 2012, I had the privilege of joining 50 women from around the world to climb Africa's highest mountain, Kilimanjaro, on behalf of sexually trafficked women and children. One of the most impactful parts of that journey for me was meeting the incredible women who were advocating alongside me, many who had dedicated their lives to helping exploited women. One of those exceptional people was Jeevaline Kumar, who I was shocked to realize I had met in India years before. She is a tireless advocate for some of the most oppressed women in Indian society, and she joins me here today to talk about her work. Thank you so much for joining me.
My pleasure, Cheryl.
It's so great to talk to you, and you know, you really are a tireless advocate for women. I wonder if people here in the West, women here in the West, we really understand why that it's needed for us to advocate for women in India. Tell me about what is the situation there?
Well, India has been declared as the fourth most dangerous country in the world for women and children to live in.
Oh, that surprises me.
And, you know, molestation, sexual harassment, rape, trafficking, female feticide, infanticide are a daily occurrence in our country.
Bride burnings.
Bride burning.
And you know, a woman is not valued when she's born to a family because of the dowry situation. Explain that to me, because a lot of parents try to kill their female babies.
Absolutely, and it's happening till this day. When a little baby girl is born, her birth is not celebrated like the birth of a son. Basically because, you know, a girl has to be brought up, and then the parents have to give dowry at the time of her marriage, and so it's like, you know,
if you're poor, it's almost impossible to meet the dowry.
Absolutely. So, you know, they'd rather do away with children, especially if they're poor. So that's the situation.
And then a husband will sometimes set his wife on fire so he can get a new wife and a new dowry. So women just get it from all sides.
Absolutely. They're the most oppressed people group in our nation.
I'm surprised that you say the fourth most dangerous place in the world. I would have thought Somalia, Afghanistan. That's shocking. So you work with just not women who are oppressed and empowering them, but also Dalit women. So let's talk about that, like the lower caste or out of the whole caste system. What is the situation for them?
Well, according to the Indian National Crime Bureau record, every day 4 Dalit women are raped in our country. And that's basically because she is vulnerable to being exploited. They have no education, there's no access to justice, and they can be easily exploited. And so they're, you know, picked upon, and she gets raped. And it's a very difficult situation for these Dalit women because they live in utter poverty.
So Dalit, the word Dalit means crushed. It's basically a group of people that is considered to be lower than a dog, not even in the caste system, like not even made from God, literally subhuman, I guess, in a sense. And they're slaves, basically. How many people does that represent in India?
250 to 300 million Dalits live in India. And as you said, they are crushed. They're called untouchables. And they're so low, they don't even form part of the caste system.
Yeah.
And
this is a sleeping giant that's awakening in India, the Dalits, isn't it?
Absolutely. You know, as of now, people are standing up for their rights, and we are seeing that happen after many, many years that the Dalit people are demanding for their rights. All these years they were silent, discriminated, and you know, exploited. You can say that they are history's longest standing oppressed people group.
Wow. And you think about, like, when the message of Jesus' love comes to those people, you know, I was looking up Galatians 3:28 so I could get it exactly right. It says there's neither Jew nor Gentile, neither slave nor free, neither male nor female, you're all one in Christ Jesus. So when you come to these people that are told you're lower than a dog, you're untouchable, a priest can be defiled by even looking at you, and you say, you're no longer a slave, you're equal, you're equal, we're all equal. How do people receive that, and can they even understand that when you've been treated so poorly your whole life?
Yeah, to these people, their scriptures teaches them that they're lower than, you know, animals. And when we tell them about Christ and how they are created in the image of God, it is something that's beautiful to them. They just want to embrace our God and, you know, serve Him and get to know Him better. So it's just amazing the kind of transformation that happens when they hear things like that. Because, you know, for years and years, they've been told, you know, that they're subhuman, and, you know, to be told that they're created in the image of God is something beautiful to them.
It never fails to amaze me that in cultures where people are treated the lowest, called subhuman, they're still prostituted, they're still trafficked, they're the most exploited. So on one hand you say you can't touch them, on the other hand you're raping them and trafficking them, and it makes no sense to, it's, you know, to the brain, but these are the people that are the most likely to be trafficked and exploited. Tell me about that.
Yeah, unfortunately they're called untouchables by day but become touchable by night for all the wrong reasons. And you know, it's sad to see that they're being exploited, the Dalit women, and 90% of those trafficked in our country are the Dalits. And it's mostly for internal purposes, and the Dalit women, well, you know, as I said earlier, they have no access to justice. And if they question inequality, retribution swiftly follows by beating, naked parading. And so Dalit trafficking is a huge issue in our country, and they are unable to stand up for their rights. They have no voice in our country.
And now you work with these women, trying to help them get out of the life or helping them once they do. Tell me about the work that you do.
Oh, well, my work with the Dalit women is focuses more on trafficking prevention initiatives. We work with the local government and you know, create an enabling environment for these women who are at risk of being trafficked by giving them easy access to education, marketable skills, and health care. We also have shelters for these women who are rescued out of trafficking, and you know, help them gain skills, give them counseling, and you know, they're able to eventually come out of the oppression and exploitation that they've faced.
There's one aspect of women that you work with, for me, that has been the hardest to learn about, the most heartbreaking. These are the Devadasis, or is it Jogini?
Yeah, they're called by different names in different states. Devadasis are more commonly known throughout India, but in the state that I come from, they're called Joginis.
Joginis, yes. And tell me who are they?
Okay, Jogini is a young girl that's dedicated to a life of service. She's married off to the temple goddess, and you know, her life of service eventually becomes a life of servicing men, you know, up to 20 men a day when she hits puberty. Day after day, she's servicing men without any respite, and you know, until she is, you know, thrown on a, you know, thrown away because she's too ill, or you know, she's too old to service men. And she's not able to get married. Once she's dedicated, they're not supposed to get married, and their only obligation is to service men who approach them. They've been told over the years that service done unto God is service done unto men. So
that's crazy. I mean, it's bad enough to be exploited, but when you mix it with religion and say it's a service unto God, it's so confusing for the mind, I think. And these girls are dedicated at 5 years old to the temple.
Absolutely.
And of course, they don't get raped right away until they're a little bit older. But what a heartbreaking life. And then when they're thrown away because they have HIV, or you know, used up or sick, it's hard for them to find any other thing to do in life. So even though they're told that they bring good luck, oh, this got me, that wives tell their husbands to go sleep with the temple prostitutes to bring blessing on their marriage. Like,
absolutely.
What?
Yes, the wives don't really mind the husbands going and sleeping with a temple prostitute rather than going to a prostitute, because they think it brings good luck to the family. And so it's happening in our day and age, you know. For the Western mind, it might seem, you know, primitive, but it's happening in our country.
It's shocking because it sounds like something we would have heard thousands of years ago, temple prostitution, and it is outlawed in India.
It was outlawed in 1988, but there weren't any proper framework or guidelines, and hence the act was rendered toothless. But the good news is that, you know, we have filed a public interest litigation and followed it up with a writ petition, and the state government has now asked the High Court to frame laws, to put laws in place so that, you know, the offenders can be prosecuted. Over the last 28, there's hardly been any prosecutions on this account.
And you kind of do like a secret spy 007 thing where you have people in communities that are watching to see if new women are going to be dedicated to the temple and to protect them. Tell me about that.
It's just amazing because we work with the ex-Joginis themselves, people who have serviced men all their lives, but don't want to see their future generation get into it. And so these women are so passionate in dismantling the system that they work as our watchdogs in the villages. And, you know, it's they that keep an eye on what's going on, and they know who the Joginis are in their villages, and usually it's the daughters of the Joginis that are dedicated again and again into the system. And so they keep an eye and let us know what's happening, and if there's you know, any signs of dedications, then they go and counsel the family. But if they still don't listen, then we go in with the police and the lawyers and make sure that dedications don't happen in these villages. And so we've had tremendous success in the 100 villages that we've adopted. There's been no dedications in the last couple of years. Wow. Because of these women who are so passionately carrying out their work in stopping
over 2,000 women, children you have saved.
Absolutely.
When you come to these women who've been Joginis all their lives and you say that this wasn't a service to God, you were exploited. God doesn't see you this way. He doesn't want you to be used. He loves you. How is that message received by them?
You know, earlier they were unaware about the illegality of this whole thing, and so they were exploited by, you know, their own people. And you know, they have been in the system for years and years. But when we go in and explain to them that there is a way out and show them the way out, and they are so grateful. And then again, you know, talking about the love of Christ and telling them that they are created in the image of God speaks so powerfully into their lives. They've never heard anything like that. And to them, you know, it just blows their mind. And they're so, like, drawn towards Christianity.
I love it. Well, I wish we had more time. You told me before this interview that you feel like this is an issue whose time has come in India, and you see the Dalits rising up. You see the media beginning to report on this. We see the protests against the rape of women in India and the way that they're treated, and something's happening there. We need to pray for you and keep supporting you. Thank you. You are the hands and feet of Jesus to these women, and we so appreciate the work that you do.
Thank you, Cheryl. Yes, the time is ripe for, you know, to bring down the walls of oppression amongst the Dalits in India. And we just appreciate everybody who joins hands with us and make sure this happens in our nation.
Well, we're cheering for you for sure.
Thank you.
And if you want to find out more, Jeeva's work is with the Dalit Freedom Network. You can go to their website. It's dalitfreedom.ca.